Hi everybody, Tailored by Debbie here. Welcome back to my channel. This week I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful Valentine wreath. And we're going to be using some of this fabric. I bought this at Walmart. It comes 72 inches by 45 inches. But I have some red that I'm still trying to use up. So we're going to be using the red color today. I'm going to be using just a couple of pieces off of a boxwood greenery pick. I cut 2 stems off of it and I bought that at Walmart. I'm going to be using 2 different colors of ribbon. I just have a plain red and a plain burlap 1.5 inch ribbon. I'm going to be using a lighter. I'm going to be using some scissors, my hot glue tool. We're going to be using an X-Acto knife. This is a makeup spatula with a silicone tip. I bought that at the Dollar Tree. We're going to use that. I'm going to be using my diagonal cutters, and I have just a piece of a floral pick that I've had for years. We're going to be using the flowers off of that. And this is the Dollar Tree heart wreath frame that we're going to be using. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. First, what I did was I tore my fabric into 2-inch strips. And I got one piece here that's a little bit wider than 2 inches, so I could show you how I do this. I just lay it up here where my ruler is, and I'm going to measure out to 2 inches. And then I'm going to cut a slit at the 2-inch mark, right here at the top, just a little slit. And then I'm going to tear the fabric. And all you have to do is just take the fabric and pull your 2 pieces, and it's not hard to tear. You're just going to tear all the way down to the end of your strip. Okay, we'll save this for another project. And then after you tear it, you'll want to go down and pull off the loose strings from where you just tore it. And just get rid of those. So you can just kind of pull down your piece of fabric. So now our strip is ready to use. On the ends, you may have some pieces that stick up like that. I just take my scissors and trim those off. Okay. You can look down, and if you see any other long pieces, you can also trim those off, or you can do it as we go. So we're going to take our wreath frame, we're going to turn it upside down. And I'm going to put the fabric underneath here at this crossbar. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on this bar and this bar. Let's fold it over. Let's go ahead and get this other stuff out of the way here. Move them over, just so you can see what we're doing here. Okay, we're going to take some glue and put on each of these 2 crossbars, just some hot glue. And we're going to anchor this first strip of fabric down to our wreath frame, just by folding it over and tapping it down. We're going to give that just a minute to dry, and while we're doing that, what I like to do is take my fabric. I've got a couple strings here I'm going to cut off. Like I said, you can do this as you go, or you can do it before you even start wrapping. What I like to do is take this long 72-inch piece of fabric and just kind of roll it up on itself. It'll make it easier to wrap the frame. It's going to take 2 and about 1/2 of these 72-inch by 2-inch strips of fabric to cover this heart frame. Okay, now that we kind of have that rolled up, we're just going to take and wrap. And each time you wrap, you're going to go over a little bit. You want to make sure you overlap some on each piece so you won't have any of the wires showing. But all you do, y'all, is just wrap around your frame until you run out of your strip of fabric. And try to do about the same amount of overlap each time. Does not have to be perfect. And as you're getting up to this round part, you just want to make sure you pull it tight. And if you have any of this scrunching, you want it to be on the side that you're going to cover with the next wrap of fabric. So pull it tight and just keep wrapping. Let's see, there we go. All right, and you want to finish on the back side. So that first piece made it just about to the center, but not quite. So I'm going to go ahead and take this fabric and I'm going to cut that off right here, because I don't want my piecing of the fabric to show on the front side. I'm just going to take and put a bead of glue along that edge. Carefully pick it up, pull it tight, and then lay it over onto the heart. And then the front side's going to be pretty, and the back side will be where you'll have the overlapping pieces. Okay, now we're going to take our next strip of fabric. We're going to go ahead and roll it up. Because we're going to wrap this one just the way we did the first. Doesn't have to be fancy, just makes it easier when you're rolling it onto the heart wreath frame if you have it rolled up. Okay, again, any of those loose strings, pull those off. Okay, now what we're going to do, we want to come back and add on as if we were, wrapping a continuous piece of fabric. Now, I did pull that over to the side, but when I glue this next piece on, I'm going to glue it this way so that when I wrap, it'll be going in the right direction. So I'm just going to put just a line of glue on the back of this new strip. Very carefully going to place it on the fabric. You can use your spatula to press it down. And then you're going to continue to wrap, just like we were doing. Okay, when you come to the point, you're going to want to anchor this fabric down to the metal bar so it won't slide. So I'm going to anchor it with a little bit of hot glue onto that metal bar. And I'm going to come up here, and it's going to bunch up in the center when you're going over that part, but it's okay. All right, so you're going to go ahead and just look at how it's showing up on the front. And if you like the way it looks, go ahead and turn it back over. And we're going to go ahead and anchor the next piece that we're putting. We're going to put a little bit of glue because we want it to overlap a little bit and come over this way. You're going to anchor it, and I like to put the glue on the back side so if it seeps through, it won't show on the front. So just make sure you're overlapping some. And then if you're going to have any folding of your fabric or bunching of your fabric, make sure it's on the side where you're going to wrap and cover the next time you go around. So don't worry that that is messed up like that, because it's not going to show. So when I come back up here, I'm going to go ahead and anchor this next piece down to this bar again. So this fabric on these curves and points is not going to slide. Okay, let's turn it over. Make sure we're liking the way it looks on the front. Now's the time you want to make sure you pull that really tight. And then you're just going to continue to wrap. See, I've got it twisted here. Let me untwist my fabric. It's just easier if you kind of keep it rolled up. Okay, I got another loose string. If you have loose strings, just pull them off. Let me see here where that loose string goes to. I'm just going to pull it until it comes off. And then I'm going to continue to wrap my wire wreath frame. Again, each time just kind of pulling it tight, overlapping. Any bent or folded parts you want to be on the side where you're going to rewrap it, so it's not going to show as much. You can always turn it over on the front to make sure you like the way it's looking. Kind of pull it over a little bit. We got a wrinkle right there, so I'm going to go ahead and get that out. It's a little bit more challenging just on the curvy parts. Just take your time. And anywhere you feel that it needs just a little dot of glue, you can add some glue. Again, I want to put it where it's going to be more on the back side here. There we go. Just tack that down so it's not going to slide and move. You can use whatever fabric. Now, if you're going to use the tear method, though, you'll want to get some type of cotton. Cotton fabric tears. Polyester sometimes does not tear as well. So get a nice cotton blend. Of course, you can try it with whatever fabric, and if it doesn't tear, then you can just use scissors to cut your fabric. All right, we're getting to the end, and I don't have enough to wrap all the way around the back again. So I'm going to take this piece. I'm going to go ahead and secure this down with some glue. Pull it around. Get it good and secure. And then I'm going to bring it over to the side a little bit so I can tack it down to the fabric that's already back here. Just bring it, and you want to make sure you're pulling it good and tight. Pull it down below where your glue is. Don't burn your fingers. And then you can just tack it down. Look at it at the front while you still have a little time to move it if you need to. But y'all, isn't this turning out so pretty? All right, now we have our last piece. And we are going, depending on how wide you cut your fabric, if you cut it wider than 2 inches, it may not take quite as much. All right, now I'm going to come back over here and glue this piece down. Let's see. Tack it down here on the back, and then we can continue to wrap, but first I want to roll up my fabric. Let's get it untwisted. I'm going to roll it up. Okay, got it untwisted. Now I'll just roll it up real quick. Does not have to be perfect, y'all, just a rough roll. So it makes it easier to wrap it around and around the frame. Okay, and that also gives this a little bit of time to dry. Then you can pull it snugly and keep wrapping. And from the front, you can't even tell that that's pieced together. Just looks like one long continuous piece of fabric. Okay, we want to make sure it's not folding over like that. Make it too bulky. Let's see. I've got it a little bit too wide there, so I'm going to go back and unwrap it and pull it over just a little bit. Okay. Just continue to wrap. All right, now here we're getting down to the pointy parts again, so I'm going to turn it to the back side. And I want to anchor it down with some glue. Just going to come across here, the bottom part, and right here on this crossbar. Just put some glue back here. Tap it down. And hold that nice and secure. And then just like we did at this point, we're going to continue to wrap. And it's going to bunch right here, but that's okay. And we're just going to anchor it down on the bottom crossbar as we're wrapping so it won't slide up and down the frame. Okay, and again, you're going to turn it and it's going to bunch up. That's okay. Let it bunch up. All right, now on the point, we're going to lay this next piece kind of like so, and we're going to put some glue on either side of this point. And we're going to pull it. We're going to pull this tight to the back. And it's going to look a little wonky on the back, but it's okay. And then we're going to come back, wrap over this part again. Then I'm going to anchor it down. Get this, got some string spraying. I'm just going to pull those off. Okay, what we're going to do right here is we're going to glue it to the back here. And then I'm going to kind of fold it like this, and we're going to glue it. Let me see here, y'all. Maybe we can just wrap it right here. You just have to kind of play with it when you get to the end. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pull it straight across from one side to the other. Then we're going to bring it up. See what it did on the front? What I did was I pulled it straight across. I'm going to go ahead and tack that down with some glue right there on this back side. I'm going to pull it straight across on the back, and then I'm going to pull it this way. And then we're going to wrap it around until we run out of ribbon. Okay, we want it to look pretty on the front, so we're going to just pull it like so, and that's the front, and that's what it's going to look like on the front at the bottom. We're just going to pull it straight down back here. I'm going to cut a little bit of this off. And we're going to pull this straight down and glue. Just put your glue on the edge of your piece of fabric. Carefully pick it up. Pull it down. And you can use your spatula to tap it down to secure it. All right, and then over here on the front, we're going to tuck that fabric under there, and then we're going to pull. And you're going to have some florals down here at the bottom, so this part's not going to show as much. But what we're going to do, we're going to come up under here with a little bit of hot glue up under here. You don't want to put a whole lot because you don't want it to seep through your fabric. But then you're just going to kind of tack it down like so. And there is our finished wrapped heart wreath frame. Let me just get some of this lint up right here. Okay, and there's our heart. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our greenery pieces and we're going to secure them to our wreath frame. And on this side, we can tuck it up underneath that piece of fabric. And then on this side, we can tuck it up under this piece of fabric. Okay, but that's just a little bit too long, so that's what we need our diagonal cutters for. We're going to cut some of that off so it's not so long. And I want to cut them off kind of even. So I'm just going to take my diagonal cutter and cut that off. All right, let's just get these little pieces of fuzz out of here. And I'm going to tuck it. Now, for some reason, the way you wrap it, it doesn't have a place for you to tuck on both sides. Then you could take your X-Acto knife and just cut a little slit in the fabric and stick your piece of greenery down through there. But we're going to go ahead and stick it. And you can feel the middle bar. You want to put it to the inside of the middle bar. Okay, I think it's still just a little bit too long. So I'm going to cut another piece off of our stem. So now I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch or a centimeter or so of the stem. And we're going to stick it down in here where just a little bit of those the tops of those leaves are going to be tucked under there. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Cut about a 1/2 inch. And when I tuck it down into the fabric, I'm going to tuck it so a little bit of that top part is also stuck up inside like that, okay? That'll just help hold the pieces of greenery a little bit more securely. And you're going to go ahead and place them in there. Then you're going to lift your fabric and squirt some hot glue up underneath there, okay? You gotta be really careful, y'all, because if not, you'll burn yourself like I just did. All right, we're going to go ahead and stick. And it's okay if a little bit of glue gets on the fabric because you're going to be putting a bow on top of this and it's not going to show. So just stick it down in there. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Again, just be real careful to try not to stick your finger in the hot glue. So I'll do it this way. I'll take the greenery piece out, put your hot glue up under there, then stick your greenery piece back up underneath it. Just like so. Okay, and you want to get it down in there where the top part of those branches are up underneath that piece of fabric. Okay, then just kind of lay these out how you think you want them to be. Now we're going to take these flowers, and I'm going to take, it's got some larger flowers and some smaller ones. And most floral stems, you can pull the flower off the end of the stem very easily. So what we're going to do on this boxwood, on each top of each one is a little point. So now what I'm going to do is take just a dot of hot glue, and you want to just use a teeny tiny bit of glue. We're going to take this and stick it down on top of each of those little pointy stems. Push it all the way down, y'all. But I wanted the boxwood greenery instead of just sticking these little flowers in there. So by just pulling off each one and attaching it to this boxwood, it's just going to give this a real different, pretty look. Okay, so I'm going to mirror what I just did on this side over here. And if your stems are a little bit too big, you can take your little jewelry snips and cut up diagonally on that little stem and, make it a little bit narrower and a little bit pointier. So it'll be easier for you to push your floral flower, your silk flower down onto that little piece that's sticking out. So we're going to do that. There's 5 stems on each one of these boxwood picks. we're going to make a bow to go right here. And I'm going to use my Easy Bow Design Pro bow maker. Okay. And I just take, I'm going to be using a 1.5 inch red and a 1.5 inch burlap ribbon for this design. And I want the burlap one to be on top. I'm just going to put it into my bow maker. And I'm going to do 8-inch tails. So I'm going to push the ribbon down. And this ribbon does have a right and a wrong side. So once you push it down, you want to twist so that when you bring your loop, and I'm doing both ribbons together. It's the easiest way to do a 2-ribbon bow, y'all. I'm just going to pull out some slack in my ribbon. Okay, I twisted it one time. So now the red's on top here. I'm going to bring it over to the 4-inch mark. Now the burlap's going to be on top when we bring it back around. And then you're going to twist so that the red ribbon's back on top. And this is the back side of the ribbon. And then you're going to bring it over, measure your 4 inches, twist. Okay, we're only doing 2 loops, 2 double loops on each side, which is going to give us an 8-loop bow, which will be plenty big enough for this small heart wreath. Okay, so you're going to the 4-inch mark, twist, the red's on top, the back side of the ribbon, and then you're going to bring it over. And this is our last loop, y'all. So the last time you do not twist, you leave the burlap on top, and then you're going to come over here to your 8-inch mark, get your ribbons, come over here to your 8-inch mark, cut that straight across for your second tail. Okay, then we're going to pull. You want to stack all that together and pull it up, hold it. We're going to move this out of the way. Okay, let me just move that out of the way here. And I'm going to take a pipe cleaner. I don't know that I mentioned I was going to use a pipe cleaner. And I just took a coordinating color, a brown, and I'm going to fold it in half and put it down over the top. And see how I'm still holding it. I've got it stacked just the way it was in the bow maker. I'm going to now put my thumb on top and put the pipe cleaners between my pointer and middle fingers here. And you're just going to pull that pipe cleaner as tight as you can. And when you do, it's going to make those loops start standing up. Okay, then you're going to twist about 3 times. Okay, you don't want to twist too many times because then your bow's going to get too high. When you put it on your project, it'll stick up funny. All right. So our bow is now made. We just need to fluff it. But I'm going to break the bow. At least I'm going to bring my tails down. I have an extra piece of string right here. Let's cut that off. Just going to pull our tails down, and then we'll separate and fluff our bow once we get it in our wreath. Okay, to add the bow, we're going to come right here where this crossbar is. Okay, in the middle, right here in the middle, you can feel that middle crossbar where it comes to a point. You want to slit with your X-Acto knife on either side of this middle crossbar right here. So you're just going to take, I'm going to push that to the side, and I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut all the way through to the back. I want to make a slit, and then I'm going to make another slit the other way, almost like a little X. Okay, and then you're going to come over here on the other side of the crossbar, and you're going to do the same thing over here. And you want to kind of do it straight up and down. So your bow, and you're cutting all the way through. So lift it up and don't have your finger down there, y'all. Go ahead and make a slit going both ways, then it pokes all the way through. Now you got 2 pieces of pipe cleaner. So you're going to separate those, and you want to put the one at the top of your bow in that top hole, and make sure it comes all the way through to your hole, and it takes just a minute to find that hole with your pipe cleaner. Pull it all the way through. Then you're going to do the same thing in that bottom hole that you made. Turn it upside down and poke it through. Now you're going to pull these pieces of the pipe cleaner really tight, and then you want to twist it 3 or 4 times. And then you're going to cut that off. Okay, you're going to cut that off. And we don't really have anywhere where we can stick it up through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little slit just in this top layer of ribbon. And I'm going to take these pieces of pipe cleaner that are kind of sharp, and I'm going to push them through this hole. And this is a little bit difficult, guys, to do. I just want to stick any sharp pieces of pipe cleaner through that hole so it won't scratch your door. Okay, we're pulling them through down here. And one thing that can really help you with this is to use a pair of pliers. Let me get my pliers. Take your pliers and come up in here and grab a hold of that piece of pipe cleaner that you're pulling through, and you can really pull it all the way through. See how it pulled that right through there? And I'm going to go ahead and tack this all down with some glue just to kind of hide the sharp pieces. Yeah, there's no sharp stuff there now of that pipe cleaner. Okay, then we're going to turn it over. And again, we want to kind of pull those tails down. Pull them down. And then preliminarily separate your tails, and you want to alternate every other tail. And I think it's going to work best if we pull the tails for this side on that side of this loop right here. Okay, so now we've got some loops, and what we're going to do, these two right here, I've kind of got one going this way, one going that way, one going down. And I'm going to pull my ribbons apart, and I want to alternate every other loop so that your colors, okay, these two are going to be in the middle, so it doesn't matter about these. But see how I've got red and khaki. So now I want to put another khaki or the burlap up against that red. And again over here, red and khaki. And the two in the middle, don't worry about them. They're just going to be stuck up here in the middle. But those ones going around the bow, you want to alternate your colors every other one, just to make the bow look more uniform. Have the colors spread out evenly. Okay. Then you're just going to pull those two loops in the center up, fluff, kind of roll your hands up inside the loops of the bow, just kind of round them out. Okay, then what I like to do, I like to anchor the bow down at the top and the bottom, and then I'll lay the burlap down on top of each of the greenery to kind of hide the mechanics of the greenery. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull your tails out of the way. And what I want to have on the bottom, I want to have red, burlap, red. And then on the top, I want to have burlap, red, burlap. Or vice versa, however you pulled your colors. It doesn't really matter, just as long as they're alternating every other one. And I'm wondering if I should pull this one. You just kind of have to look at how your bow is shaped and determine, no, I think the way I had it, determine which two are the most center leaning ones and pull them to the center. Okay, so what I'm going to do, since my middle one on the bottom I've determined is going to be burlap, I'm going to come up underneath, and on either side where you have that sewn part of the ribbon, you're going to put a bead of glue on each one of those and come down here and anchor it to the center of the bottom of this wreath. And just kind of hold it there until you feel the hot glue not be hot and it kind of cools off. But you're just anchoring that so that the bow is going to kind of stay where you want it to be. Then we're going to come up here to the top, and we've determined the center on the top is going to be red. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm doing it close to where my bow is gathered, and I'm probably gluing just a little more than 1/2 of an inch. in length, just on the edges where we have that extra stitching. It makes the ribbon a little thicker and the glue won't show through your ribbon as bad. We're going to do the same thing here. I want to anchor this down and hold it down till it feels like the glue is cooling off. Okay. All right. Now see where I've got this? I want to take my burlap and I'm going to come up a little bit higher. Wherever this is going into the wreath, wherever the stem is going, you want to put a little bit, like a 1/2 inch of glue on those seams. And what you can do is just kind of bring it down and have your finger at the level where you want your glue and just put about a 1/2 inch bead of glue on each side and come down and just cover up the ugly mechanics of where those flowers are sticking up out of the fabric. Okay. And once you fluff your bow, you're not even going to be able to tell that we glued it down, other than the bow is going to stay in place and be really pretty. All right, so we're going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to put some glue so it kind of covers up. Make sure you don't have your fingers behind it, y'all. And if it's too hot, you can use your little spatula, but I'm putting such a thin bead of glue that it's barely seeping through the ribbon, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to use much. And then you're just going to fluff your loops. So the top of that bow now is going to stay put, okay? I like to do this on smaller bows. All right, we're not going to anchor the red on the bottom. We're just going to kind of pull them into place. We do have this center one anchored, and that's really all that this needs. There's nothing really to hide down here. We were trying to hide where that was glued into our wreath. Then we're just going to take and dovetail the ends. Okay. You're going to fold it in half, and then you want to cut up toward the open edge. And then your dovetails are done. Now, to keep these little edges of this fabric from fraying, you can take a lighter and just barely go over the ribbon like that. See how you got these little spriggy things kind of, I got glue on my finger, sticking out here? If you take this lighter, it's going to singe that and make those disappear. You don't want to hold it on there too long because it'll turn the ribbon black. So you want to do it really quickly, and then you can come in on that inner edge of it and just kind of singe it, and it heat seals those tails so they will not come unfrayed. We're going to do the same thing over here. And when you spread out your tails, you can decide if you want burlap red and then burlap red, or if you want it to be burlap red, burlap red. You can decide how you want your tails to be, but you're just going to fold, make sure they're folded in half evenly, and then you're just going to fold. It kind of looks like a folded taco. You're going to go from the folded edge to the open edge and cut your dovetail. Okay, and I want to alternate every other tail. So I'm going to pull the burlap next, so it'll be burlap red, burlap red. Like I said, you can do it however you want, whichever way you like yours to be. And I just yanked my bottom ribbon up on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and tack that back down a little bit right here for that bottom loop to kind of anchor my bow. Okay. I want it to be straight up and down right here. Okay. And then these center loops, I just kind of take them and turn them in a direction that the other loops are not going at that part on the bow, and that just kind of gives it a center to the flower almost. It almost looks like a little flower type thing. Okay. So we've got burlap red, then we've got burlap red, and then these two are just kind of hanging out in the middle, and then your burlap and your red. But see how easy that bow was to make and shape, y'all? Y'all can do this, I promise. And that one's wanting to creep up in there, so I'm just going to pull him back over and get this over here. There we go. And the only thing we have left to do now is to make a hanger for our wreath. And we're going to do that using about an 8-inch strip of the fabric. We had a little bit of fabric left over. It might be a little bit longer. It's about a 10-inch strip of fabric. If you don't have fabric, you can always use a jute cord or a pipe cleaner, whatever you'd like to use. I'm just going to cut this kind of in half. And then I'm going to tear it just like we did the other strips. So now I have about a 1-inch piece of fabric by 10, about approximately 10 inches. Okay, we're going to come over onto the back and we're going to squish our bow, but that's okay because we will fluff it when we finish everything that we're, once we get this part done. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I want to take this fabric, I'm going to kind of roll it, and I'm going to tie a knot on this end. It doesn't have to be rolled perfectly, y'all. It's just to kind of make it thinner. I'm going to tie that knot twice. Okay. Just going to pull it through. Pull that knot back down. Kind of make it a nice knot. And what I want to do is I want to come down and I want to take this fabric, kind of roll it over on itself. You can even twist it. And we're going to make a hanger using this. And we want to kind of make it straight across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and you want it more toward the bottom so it's not going to show up here. Unless you want it to show. If that's what you want, then you can do that. I'm just going to cut a slit in this one piece of fabric. Right here, the back of it. And I'm going to stick this knot through that hole. Right there. Okay, and then I'm going to take this knot and I'm going to kind of tuck it underneath, so that knot is right there. And then we're going to take some glue and we're going to squirt it in there to kind of hold that knot in place, and we're going to press that down. And we're not going to glue all the rest yet until we have the other side. So you're just going to come straight across. You just push that down. You want to make sure you're not messing up the front. And then you're going to take this and you're going to cut a slit. Pull it down a little bit. Pull it down. Then I'm going to pull it straight across. Kind of at the same level as what we did over there. And we're going to cut a slit on this side. We're going straight up and down, even though this fabric is angled. Okay, then I'm going to pull this fabric through right here. Okay, and then I'm going to tie this in a knot. And you want to tie it in a knot just as low down as you can get it, up underneath this fabric. So you're going to pull your knot down. Okay, we're only going to tie one knot on this one. Then we're going to take all that extra tail and we're just going to stick it way over here. It's going way over here. Now you're going to take this and you're going to stick some glue up in there and just mash down. Catch that knot and some of that tail. And that's going to give you a fabric hanger back here that blends in with your wreath. So if this is on the back of somebody's door, it's going to look halfway decent from the back side. Now the only thing you want to do is go around and just glue down up under these edges. Secure this fabric around where you have your hanger so it's not going to pull any of that fabric out of place. Just go up underneath, put some glue, tack all this down on the back side, all around where you have your hanger. You can use your little silicone paddle to make sure you get it all glued down. And I don't go all the way around the wreath. I just kind of go right around where the hanger is to make sure I've got it all secure, so that when somebody pulls on this, it's not going to move any of that fabric. Then you want to let it dry really well before you hang it up. But y'all, that's all there is to it. Then you're going to take it and hang it up. Once it's all dry, reshape your bow. And I hope you will give this a try. If you do, please tag me in a photo so I can see how yours comes out. And thank you so much for watching, y'all. We forgot to burn. Look see how these are frayed and this one's not. I forgot to burn the ribbon tail, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. It really does make it look much more finished and professional. But there again, if you do that inner part, do it really quick, because you don't want to burn the fabric. If you did, you could just cut a new dovetail and do it again. But you know, with some practice, you'll get the feel of it. It really does make those tails stay pretty though, and they don't fray near as quickly, if at all. But that's all there is to this. I hope y'all, like I said, I hope y'all give this a try. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you'll always be notified when I put up new content. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think about this project. Thanks again, y'all. Have a blessed day.